Hello, I'm Jane. I'm a volunteering officer with CAVS in Carmarthenshire.
And I'm Alid. I'm also a volunteering officer with CAVS in Carmarthenshire.
And hi, my name is Jamie. I'm the Community Volunteering Development Officer for CAVS supporting Carmarthenshire.
And hi, my name is Heather Allen, and I'm a trustee with the Carbon Community, which is based in Carmarthenshire.
Thank you for joining us today, Heather.
It's a pleasure to be here, an absolute pleasure to be here. Looking forward to it.
Okay, going to tell us a little bit about the project and what volunteers are up to with you.
Carbon Community is a charity, and our aim is to create forests and accelerate carbon sequestration with breakthrough science. And our site, the Glandir Forest, is just outside Llandufrey in Carmarthenshire. And this year we launched a major carbon study in May of 2021. So we're pretty new, and we've just started our first volunteering this year when we launched our carbon study. I'll tell you a bit about the carbon study because that explains the volunteering opportunities, if that's okay. So the carbon study involves 25,000 trees, and those 25,000 trees are divided into 72 test plots. And there we're studying different types of trees and different types of nature-based treatments so that we can evaluate the impact on tree survival, carbon sequestration above the ground in terms of tree growth, as well as carbon sequestration below the ground in the soil, water, and soil carbon and development under the ground. What we've been doing, the study was designed with a number of universities, including Kew Gardens, Imperial College, Sheffield, and the Crowther Lab in Zurich. And we've also had master's students from Bangor doing adjuncts to the study out on the site, as well as a really strong volunteer base from Swansea University, where we had some of their master's students volunteering last week. So one of the main things we've been doing this summer with volunteers has been measuring the trees in the carbon study. So any type of environmental modeling involves looking over time at measurements and what changes. And a lot of the models that we all base our environmental analysis on today are observations that people have taken over time in the past. And there's very few large scale studies in forestry based in the UK. So this year, we've been taking the baseline data for our study. So we've had volunteers out with us in the field, and we've been identifying the trees. So we're measuring 6,400 trees individually, and each of those have a barcode. So volunteers have been attaching barcodes to stakes and helping us put the stakes in the ground around the trees that are going to be measured. And then we've been taking tree measurements and cataloging them. So the volunteers are, we train them on tree identification. You don't need any experience to do this. We train them on tree identification, how to take the measurements of the tree, both in terms of the height and the girth. And then we get out of the field and we make that happen. So we scan the barcode, we open the record in our tree tagging app, the volunteers measure the tree, we load up the data, we take a picture, and we move on to the next one. And we've had a great fun over the summer. And actually, I'm pleased to announce that we have finished our first baseline. So we've had volunteers have now finished measuring and cataloging 6,400 trees. I can add a little bit more to that. That's sort of our first wave of volunteering. We'll be looking at other volunteering opportunities on the site to help with the project over the course of the winter. And then starting again next summer, we'll be looking at year 2 of the study to go back out and catalog the trees. We've had volunteers from all across Wales. And I think I already mentioned this, including we had a wonderful master's class come up from Swansea last week to help with the tree measurements with their professors, which has been really, really great. And it's been really interesting to see what people learn on the day in terms of identification of trees, as well as how interested they are in being part in an actual, in primary science. But there's still work that needs to be done in the study. So there's some maintenance work that needs to be done. There was a lot of, as we were measuring, each of these plots is 0.1 of a hectare, but they're all, individually shaped. So there's just work to be done in terms of maintenance around the plots for access for volunteers for next summer. That's one of the critical things that we'll be doing. We also will be looking at whether or not there are other opportunities on the site for different things that people could be doing in terms of taking measurements. So we're actually starting to get lots of citizen scientists and scientists interested in taking other measurements. So what else can we be tracking over time in terms of biodiversity or other things like that? So if there's people who would like to are interested in any of that, we're quite interested in that in terms of looking at bird life, biodiversity and things. So we're going to be looking at other things that we can be measuring and other maintenance that we can be doing around the study before the time comes to measure the trees again next year.
What kind of time commitment do you need your volunteers to offer you?
So our volunteering tends to be, I'll call it sort of ad hoc. So it's not a weekly thing because we tend to devise an aspect of the project and then get some volunteers to come help that over sort of a tight time frame. Our typical day has been volunteers come for a day. They come from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. But obviously, if somebody wanted to do half a day, that's also absolutely possible. Volunteers can access us in two ways. They can come by car or they can come by train to King Horty Station, which is about a 1.5 kilometer walk from our location.
That's lovely. And are you able to pay expenses to volunteers for travel and so on?
So to date, we haven't had the funds to do that, but we are relooking our policy for our next financial year. We started our new financial year in October to see if we're able to do that, because we do understand that the travel is an expense. So our expense policy is it's up on our website, and we're currently having a look and evaluating that for the future.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you.
So if I was a prospective volunteer, how would I know if I was right for the role?
So whenever we put up our volunteering days, we really try to articulate what the tasks will be so that people know that it's a good opportunity for them. So when we were measuring the stakes, we've always sort of tried to explain, like, on this particular day, we will be out in the field. We will be using a handheld. We have actually started to provide handhelds for people to take the measurements to the app, but you will be bending down and measuring trees and things like that. So, you need to be quite agile. It's quite physical effort. So what we've tried to do is make sure that we're quite clear on what tasks are happening on site that day, so that people can evaluate whether it's something that interests them and it's something that's right for them.
Heather, would I need any qualifications or experience to come and volunteer with you?
You don't need any qualifications and experience to volunteer with us. We do all the training on the day in terms of the tasks that need to be done. So we've been training people on tree ID guides. We've had some tree experts build tree ID guides for us, and we train on all the measurement tools. And our volunteer days, we usually have a certain number of people that we can take based on the supervisors, so that we also have supervisors that can work with you so that you know that everything's being done accurately. So no, you don't need any experience, and hopefully you'll come away having learned something.
That's brilliant. And what other benefits do you think volunteers get? They get the training, they get the chance to be outside in the field. Are there any other benefits that are useful for them, for their CV or for other?
So that's a really interesting question, Jane. We've had a lot of volunteers who are students who are looking for careers either in forestry or science, and really want to get experience with field trial work to build their CVs. So if I had to say the biggest proportion of our volunteers that we've had over the last few months, they have been in some type of education where this fieldwork experience has been really helpful for them for their CVs. We also, we are outside all day, and that is just usually very uplifting. Obviously, the weather has an impact on that, but clearly spending time outdoors is really good from an uplifting and mental health perspective. So it's a great day outside. We try to provide excellent snacks. We get flapjacks from the local bakery. And also, in particular, for these students who've been looking for fieldwork experience, we think it's really helped them from a CV perspective. We've had a number of volunteers who are starting to explore careers in this type of area and want to just, see what things are. And actually, a lot of the volunteers have made connections between themselves in terms of what's happening.
And of course, people like being outside and working with a group of other people. You don't have to be a student to enjoy that, do you?
No, you don't. I might have overemphasized the student. Our age range, I should tell you our age range. Our age range in the field has been age 15 to 80, just to give you a range of the volunteers who've been out there with us over the summer and the fall.
So how can we find out more information? Your website or email?
So the best way to find out more information is www.carboncommunity.org. That's our website. Volunteers, there's a join us button, and you can just sign up to get volunteering bulletins. So every time we launch a volunteering day, we send out a note to our volunteers. You can sign up to our newsletter, or you can just regularly check back to the website. And you can follow us on social media, which is @TThe Carbon Com.
That's great. Thank you so much, Heather. Thank you for joining us today, and hopefully we'll be able to find some volunteers for you.
Wonderful. Well, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.